to EmpowerFuse with your host, Dr. Carolyn M. Rubin. EmpowerFuse is a show of empowering messages with a focus on encouraging self-confidence, resilience, and a positive mindset. Certified life coach and 6-phase meditation trainer, Dr. Carolyn Rubin, will unleash inspiration together while igniting motivation and creativity. Dr. Rubin will discuss many topics such as healthcare, leadership, life, growth, and will add in some laughter too. So please welcome the host of EmpowerFuse, Dr. Carolyn Rubin.
Good morning, everyone. I am so honored to be with you today. Let me ask you a question. Do you ever feel like you're searching for something, but not quite sure what it is? Maybe it feels like the answers are always just out of reach. What if I told you that the guidance you crave is already inside you? That the spark you've been waiting for isn't out there. It's been with you all along. Your answers, your guidance, your power, they're inside you, just waiting to be awakened. And here's why today's conversation matters. We live in a world with constant noise, social media, cultural expectations, even our own self-doubt. Drown out the quiet voice of truth that's within us. That's why this episode is so important. It's about rediscovering your inner spark, learning to trust it again, and letting it guide your life. Today, we're going to explore how to uncover and trust that spark. Because once you do, it can illuminate the path forward in ways you've never imagined. Welcome to EmpowerFuse, unleashing inspiration together. I'm Carolyn Rubin. I'm so grateful you're here because today's conversation is one that can change the way you see yourself and your life. I believe every one of us needs to hear that our inner spark is our guiding light. And why do we call it the inner spark? Because it is that guiding light that shows up in whispers, in gut feelings, in the way your heart leaps when something feels right. The problem is, most of us have been taught to silence it. This episode is about rediscovering that spark and learning to trust it again. By the end of our time together, you'll not only see that spark in yourself, you'll know how to fan it into a flame that lights your path forward. I know. Because there was a season in my life when on the outside, everything looked great. I was in a strong leadership role, achieving milestones, hitting big goals. But on the inside, I felt, disconnected. I remember driving home one night after a very long day and thinking, is this really it? That night, I realized I had been chasing outcomes, but ignoring the quiet voice within me. That inner spark that had always been there, now waiting for me to listen. I want you to think of a time when you felt restless, even though everything looked fine on the outside. The restlessness may have been your spark calling you back. I also want you to think of a time when you felt most alive. Maybe it was creating something, helping someone, or simply being in a moment that felt like pure alignment. That was your inner spark. Too often, we're conditioned to believe greatness is something external. A promotion, an award, someone else's validation. But the truth is, greatness begins within. So here's the challenge I'll pose today. What if you stopped searching for answers outside of yourself and started believing that you already carry the wisdom and strength you need? This show isn't just about inspiration. It's about activation. You have a light inside you, and today we're going to bring it forward. And let's start with a simple truth. Every person is born with a spark. It's not given to some and withheld from others. It's not based on your title, your income, or your background. It's universal. We have to take a quick commercial break, but when we get back, we're going to talk more about your inner spark.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals.
Welcome back, everyone. We're going to continue talking about how to unveil your inner spark. But first, I want you to think about little children. They don't question their spark. They're curious, creative, and bold. They dance without worrying if they look silly. They dream without worrying if it's practical. That's what unfiltered spark looks like. But over time, well, life layers things over our spark. Fear, doubt, criticism, disappointments. And we begin to believe that the spark has gone out. But it hasn't. It's just buried. Let me share this. In my own career, there were times when I felt my spark was dimming, especially under pressure, tight deadlines, high stakes, and expectations from every angle. What kept me going wasn't external recognition. It was the quiet reminder inside me that I was made to empower others, that my purpose was bigger than the obstacles. That spark carried me. So here's the first challenge of today's episode. Stop looking outside for what you already have inside. Greatness doesn't come from applause. It comes from alignment with the spark that's uniquely yours. So ask yourself, what layers have been covering my spark? Fear, other people's opinions, my own self-doubt. Write down or say out loud, and naming them begins the process of removing them. Start with 1 or write down 10. But what's been covering your spark? How do we actually recognize our inner compass? It starts with 3 things: values, passions, and strengths. Ask yourself, what are the values that I refuse to compromise on? And what activities or causes make me lose track of time because I love them so much? And what strengths do people constantly point out in me, even when I downplay them? See, I've coached leaders and watched them transform the moment they stopped chasing someone else's definition of success and started aligning with their own guiding light. So take a moment to reflect. If no one else's opinion mattered, what would I choose for my life? That answer will take you closer to your guiding light than any external roadmap ever could. So if no one else's opinion mattered, what would you choose for your life? So how did we actually find our spark? And how do we recover it when life has buried it under layers of noise? Well, we're going to review those 3 things just a little bit more. Values. What principles guide your choices? Maybe it's integrity, service, growth. Maybe it's compassion. When you act out the alignment with your values, you feel restless. When you honor them, you feel peace. So think about that. What principles guide your choices? And are you in alignment or out of alignment with them? And what activities make you lose track of time? What topics light you up in conversations? Because these are clues to your inner light. For me, I can lose track of time if I'm with my grandkids. That will light me up to be able to talk about them and share their photos. And just be able to share life in general. So, what activities make you lose track of time? And what do you consistently see in yourself? Maybe it's leadership, creativity, problem solving, empathy. Often we overlook our strengths because they come so naturally. So think about it. What do others consistently see in you? Are you aligned with that? Do you see that in yourself? And do you realize that's part of your inner spark? I once coached a woman who thought she had no spark. She worked long hours, felt drained, and thought her job defined her. But when we actually peeled back the layers, we actually discovered her true joy, which was mentoring younger women at her office. She didn't even see that as being special. But others would tell her how life-changing her guidance was. We realized that her spark was mentorship. So think about it. If money, fear, or other people's opinions weren't in the way, what would I do? What would I choose to do with my time? See, the answer is in your guiding light. And I want you to also think about this. If no one's opinion mattered, what would I choose to do with my life? Write down the list. But right now, write down the first thing that comes to mind. Because the very first thing that comes to mind is often your spark speaking to you. So again, if no one's opinion mattered, what would I choose to do with my life? What's the first thing that comes to mind? There was a time when I was transitioning between leadership roles. I felt uncertain who I was. I wasn't sure. It was a brand new role, no title, no team. But when I paused and reflected, three things surfaced. My values, integrity and service, my passion for empowering others, and my strength in building bridges between people. That clarity reminded me my spark wasn't dependent on a position. It was who I was, wherever I went. That is what brought light to me. So ask yourself, if my title or role changed tomorrow, what part of me would remain unchanged? Because that's your spark. And it will typically turn back to what you defined your values to be. So think about it. Because finding your spark is one thing, keeping it alive is another. Sparks fade when they're not nurtured. So, how do you nurture your spark? How do you fuel your fire? And when you feel like it's been smothered, when do you reflect to understand why? See, we bring so many things into our lives. We have so many responsibilities, so many challenges that can take us different directions. When do you take a moment to fuel your inner fire? Maybe it's that vacation. Maybe it's a day off. Maybe it's going to a ball game with the friends that you haven't seen in forever. We're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about fueling your inner fire.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back, everyone. We've been talking about finding your inner spark. Now we're going to talk about fueling your inner fire. As I was saying before the break, finding your spark is one thing, but keeping it alive is another. Sparks fade when they're not nurtured. So how do you refuel your spark? There are 3 ways that can help fuel your fire. Let's talk about mindfulness. Taking each day and have a 5-minute break just to check in with yourself. Maybe it's 2 minutes, but take that time to check in on yourself. Maybe it's a 2-minute deep breathing exercise. It will help you reconnect with yourself. Maybe it's a quick 5-minute meditation. But it allows you to reconnect with that inner spark. Find the fuel that fires it. And let's talk about self-care. Maybe you're going to go for a pedicure or a manicure. But what about sleep? Having spa days and bubble baths are great, that helps us to relax, and they can be nice. But what about foundational self-care? How much sleep are you getting? 3 hours a night? 5 hours? How many is actually getting 8 hours of sleep a night? Or even 6? How much movement do you get every day? Maybe take time at lunch and go for a walk. Move around so you're not just sitting at a desk for 8, 10, 12 hours. And what's your nutrition? How are you eating? Are you snacking on candy and popcorn all day? Or are you taking time to eat healthy? Are you creating those healthy boundaries? Your spark needs energy to burn. And are you continually learning something new? See, continuous growth helps to fuel the fire. It keeps you going, it keeps your mind going, and you're challenging yourself to get more involved, more engaged, to learn something new. Stagnation is the enemy of your fire. It will help put it out. So keep your mind moving, your body moving, because that is important. And let's be honest, there are things that dim our light. Self-doubt, negativity, fear of failure, sometimes even the voices of people we love. What do you do when that starts to put your fire out? When those voices of negativity start getting louder? You take time and think back to your values. You take time to reconnect with who you are. Because here's the good news. Your spark never disappears. It might flicker, and it might feel small, but it's never gone. And every small, consistent action, whether it's journaling, affirmations, or simply choosing courage over fear, will add fuel to your inner fire. I know from my own experience, there were seasons that I questioned my voice, my direction, even my worth. And what helped me wasn't a giant breakthrough. It was choosing small, consistent actions every day. Reading something that uplifted me. Journaling my gratitude. Speaking affirmations when I didn't feel strong. Those little steps fed my spark until it grew bright again. Write it down. Put that little affirmation on your mirror and speak it every morning. Meditate for just a few minutes. And y'all know I am such a fan of journaling and meditation and deep breathing exercises because it gets you grounded and reconnected back to who you are. And remember, your spark doesn't disappear. It waits. And the more you fuel it, the more powerful it becomes. Now that we know that the spark exists, how do we keep it burning? There was a season when I was traveling constantly. I was leading large-scale integrations. I was exhausted. And when I say I was traveling constantly, I would leave out at 5 a.m. on Monday morning, and I would get back at 10 p.m. on Friday. And I did this for a year and a half. I was exhausted. My spark felt dim, but I discovered that small, consistent actions made all the difference. I would take time during the day and go for just a short walk. At the end of the day, I would journal for about 5 minutes. What was I grateful for that day? Maybe what challenged me for that day. And then I had prayer in the early morning. Gratitude list when I felt overwhelmed. And while those practices weren't dramatic, they reignited my spark. So many times we get in a role and we love what we do and we know that we're helping others and we're empowering lives. But if we don't take time for our own self-care, that travel, week over week, can become to wear on us. Now, some will choose, let me change jobs. Others will choose, let me choose a different lifestyle, different path. I stayed there for 4.5 years, but I did finally change jobs. See, we have to make a decision at some point in our life when our inner spark is more important than a title or a role. Because we can empower lives no matter where we go. We can make a difference, whatever we're doing. So I want you to ask yourself, what has been dimming my spark lately? And what is one small action that I can take this week to refuel it? See, even when we know our spark is real, most of us face barriers that make it hard to trust or act on it. And here's the truth. These barriers are not proof that your spark is gone. They're signs that you're standing on the edge of growth. And there are 4 common barriers to trusting your spark. Fear of failure. We hesitate because we don't want to get it wrong. But failure it's not the opposite of success. It's actually the pathway to it. It's okay to fail forward. It's okay to fail upward. We can't fear failure. Fear of judgment. What will people think? Stops more dreams than actual obstacles ever do. Have you ever wanted to go for a role and you were like, what would people think if I don't get it? What would people think if I told them I was changing jobs after 30 years? I was taking a different path in life. That thinking can stop those dreams more than obstacles ever will. The moment you realize other people's opinions can't define your spark, then you get yourself free. You set yourself free. And looking at someone else's journey makes us believe that our spark is too small. Have you ever done that? They're on the same path I am. Why are they here and I'm here? Don't compare yourself. to someone else's journey. Because your spark isn't meant to look like anyone else's. Your spark is uniquely yours. The idea that you need everything lined up before you act, but your spark doesn't need perfection. It just needs permission. Everything doesn't have to be perfect. If it does, you may never get where you want to go. See, there was a time that I almost ignored my spark because of fear. I was stepping into a new leadership role, and that opportunity felt bigger than me. I kept hearing that inner voice. You're not ready. What if you fail? For a while, I believed it. And not only did I believe it, but I was almost letting it hold me back. But the moment I chose to act anyway, imperfect, unsure, but willing, then everything shifted in my life. That leap became a defining part of my journey. I had waited for certainty. I'd still be waiting. Certainty does not mean you won't fail. You have to take a chance. If I was waiting for perfection to create EmpowerFuse, we might still be waiting there too. But I have my inner spark and my guiding light, and I know the direction that I want to go. So let's reframe the barriers. Fear of failure. That's just evidence that you're stepping into growth. Fear of judgment. Well, that's a reminder that your spark is unique. Comparison. A reminder that your spark stands out. And perfectionism. Your cue to take one small step instead of waiting for the big one. So ask yourself, where have I allowed fear, comparison, or perfectionism to silence my spark? What would it look like to take one brave step forward anyway? Write it down. But I don't want you to overthink it. Just write down the first thing that comes to you. And if you're watching live or catching the replay, I want you to also type in the comments one word that names your barrier. Is it fear, judgment, comparison, perfection? Naming it begins the process of breaking it. Type one word for your spark. By claiming both the barrier and the spark, you declare that your spark is greater. And here's what I want you to remember. Barriers don't mean your spark is gone. They mean your spark is powerful enough to scare you. They mean you're on the threshold of something bigger. And you choose courage over fear. Your spark doesn't flicker. It ignites. And that's what leads us into our next step. Letting your spark illuminate your path forward. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we get back, we'll talk about illuminating. your path forward.
Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality? But it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating. Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Welcome back, everyone. We're going to take some time and talk about illuminating your path forward. See, your inner spark isn't just about feeling good. It's about guiding your real life decisions. When you're aligned with your inner light, clarity replaces confusion. You stop second guessing every move and start moving with purpose. Career choices, relationships, personal growth, it becomes easier when you're led from within. I want you to think of someone you admire who has overcome adversity. Chances are they weren't following an external plan. They were guided by something deeper, their inner spark. Think of people who inspire you. Many of them didn't follow a straight path. They listened to an inner nudge, a sense of calling, a spark. That's how breakthroughs happen. And that's what I want for you. To start trusting yourself enough to let your light lead you forward, even when the path isn't fully visible yet. For me, there have been moments when, following my spark didn't make sense on paper, but it brought clarity and purpose that no external map ever could. I trusted it, and it led me to opportunities and impacts I could never have scripted. But here's where it gets exciting. Your inner spark isn't just about feeling good inside. It's meant to guide your choices, your relationships, your leadership, and your life. When you listen to your spark, your decisions become clearer, and fear will lose its grip. And you stop second guessing every move because you're anchored in something solid. One of the biggest leaps I ever took was saying yes to creating EmpowerFuse. On paper, did it make sense? Well, maybe. I was already leading. I was already stretched. But my spark kept nudging me. Your voice is needed. If I had ignored it, this show wouldn't exist. Trusting my inner compass opened doors I couldn't have scripted. So I want you to ask yourself, when in my life am I ignoring my inner spark? What decision would I make if I trusted it fully? That one question can shift everything. So let's bring this full circle. Your spark, it's not random. It's your gift. It's your built-in compass, your guiding light, your reminder that you're equipped for whatever lies ahead. And when you embrace it, you stop living by default and start living by design. You stop chasing approval and start walking in alignment. You stop asking, am I enough? And start declaring, I am more than enough. Your empowered future begins the moment you trust your inner light more than external noise. And here's my call to action for you. Take one step, just one, toward honoring your spark. Maybe it's journaling about your values. Maybe it's reaching out to a mentor. Maybe it's saying yes to something that excites you but scares you just a little. Maybe it's releasing one voice of negativity that's been holding you back. Because here's the truth. The spark grows the moment you give it air. Don't just look for the light. Be the light and let it guide you into the future that you are created for. Now, I want you to take a moment. Take a deep breath. Let it out. And place your hand over your heart. And I want you to say this. My spark is alive. My light is guiding me, and my future is empowered. See, I've walked through seasons of recognition and achievement, and I've walked through quiet seasons of doubt and rebuilding. Through both, my spark never left me. It guided me to serve, to lead, to empower. And I want you to know, no matter where you are, your spark is still with you too. And don't just look for the light. Be the light and let it guide you into the future you were created for. Here's your challenge of the week. Journal your top 3 values, passions, and strengths. Take time and write them down. Circle the one that makes you feel most alive, because that's your spark. And then choose one action this week to honor it. Maybe you're going to encourage someone, or set a boundary, or learn something new. I would invite you to share your action with the EmpowerFuse community or someone you trust. Speaking it out loud fuels your spark even more. Thank you for spending this time with me on EmpowerFuse. I can't wait to hear how you're stepping into your guiding light. So please share your thoughts, your reflections, your breakthroughs, or your chosen action with me and the EmpowerFuse community. Your spark may inspire someone else to ignite their own. Again, my spark is alive. My light is guiding me, and my future is empowered. Don't just look for the light. Be the light and let it guide you into the future you were created for. Thank you for joining me today. Stay blessed. Enjoy this Labor Day weekend with your family, friends, and loved ones. And until next Saturday, be the light.
This has been EmpowerFuse with your host, Dr. Carolyn M. Rubin. Join us each week as Carolyn brings individuals together to share ideas, to collectively support each other, and to spark inspiration. Saturdays, 11 a.m. Eastern.